Hello everyone, welcome to my presentation. My name is Linh, and today I want to show you my result and my analysis for stock valuation at Ragan Engines. So before I calculate some financial ratios for Ragan Engines, I will give you some information about the company. The first information is that Ragan Engines was founded 9 years ago. The company has experienced a rapid growth because they have a very technological advantage. They have 125,000 shares of stock. Their EPS is equal to $3.65. Their annual dividend is equal to $195,000. Return on equity is equal to 18%, and the required return is equal to 13%. So with this information, I will calculate some financial ratio to evaluate the stock at Ragan Engines. So coming to the first question, assume that the company continue its current growth. What is the value per share of the company stock? So we should bear in mind that in order to calculate the value per share of the company stock, we must know the dividend per share, the required return, and the growth rate. So the first question is how to define the dividend per share. So the dividend per share is equal to annual dividends divided by number of shares, and the result is $1.56. Next one is we calculate the retention ratio, because if we know the retention ratio, we can calculate the growth rate of the company, and the result is around 10.31%. And with this information, we can now calculate the value of the company, which is also the value per share of the company stock. And the result is $63.97. So coming to the second question, we are provided with the information that Ragan technological advantage will last only for the next 5 years, and after that period, the company growth was slow to the industry average, and also required return of Ragan company is too high compared to the average required return of the industry, so it is more appropriate and more useful to use the industry average required return. And with this information, the second question is, what is the estimated stock price? Before calculating the estimated stock price of Ragan company, we also provided with information that Nautilus Marine Engines have negative earnings per share (EPS), and this was the result of an accounting write-off last year. So without the accounting write-off, their EPS were actually is $1.93. Therefore, we need to recalculate the industry growth rate. And with this information, the new industry EPS is $1.57. And because we have different EPS, we have new industry average EPS, we will have to recalculate also the industry payout ratio and also the retention ratio. And with this information, we can now calculate the industry growth rate, which is equal to 8.4%. So in more details, how can we calculate the estimated stock price of Ragan engines? We must remember that the DPS will grow at the rate of 10.31% for 5 years because of the technological advantage, and it will slow down to the industry average of 8.4% after 5 years. The required return we used is 14.67%, which is the industry average rate. And from year 0 to year 5, we apply the growth rate of 10.31%. So how we can calculate the dividend in year 1 applying the growth rate? It is very easy. We take 1.56, we multiply by 1 plus 10.31% and power by 1 because it is the dividend in year 1. And we do the same for the year 2. We take the dividend in year 1, 1.721. We multiply by 1 plus the growth rate of 10 and 31%, and we power by 2 because it's a dividend in year 2. And the price in year 5 is calculated by discounting the dividend from year 6. And we also must apply the industry average of 8.4%. And the result price in year 5 is $44.83. And with this information, we can now have the cash flow from year 1 to year 5 and the present value cash. We must calculate the present value cash flow from year 1 to year 5, and then we add it up together, and the result is $29.56. And this is the estimated stock price of Ragan engine using the industry average required return. This is also the most price that you could pay in order to earn 14.67% of Ragan engines. So the third question is, what is the industry average price earning ratio and what is the Ragan price earning ratio? So in order to calculate the PE ratio, we must know the stock price and also we must know the EPS, earning per share. Firstly, we calculate the industry average PE ratio. Because we have new EPS for the industry, which is 1.57, and also we have industry average growth of 8.4%, we have to recalculate the current stock price for the industry, and which is equal to $8.817. And with the information from question number 2, we can calculate the Ragan PE ratio, which is equal to $12.28. As you can see, the Ragan PE ratio is much more higher than the industry PE ratio. Why there is a difference? So the difference between the two PEs is owing to the type of stock they are. The stock of Ragan engines is classified as a growth stock. A growth stock is a stock that has very high PE ratio because a higher PE ratio tell you that they have higher than average earning capacity and also the company have ability to successfully reinvest their earnings into the business. That's why the Ragan PE ratio is much more higher than the industry average PE ratio because, as you know, they have a technological advantage. Last question. Assume that the company growth rate slowed to the industry average in 5 years. What future return on equity does this imply? So in order to calculate the return on equity, we must know the growth rate and also we must know the retention ratio. Firstly, we calculate the retention ratio for Ragan company. We have some information that Ragan growth rate is 10.31%, current EPS is $3.65, current DPS is $1.56. So we calculate the retention ratios as followed, and the result is $0.5726. So at the end of year 5, the growth was slow to the industry average of 8.4%. And with this information, new return on equity for the company is calculated by taking the industry average growth rate of 8.4% divided by the retention ratio, and the result is approximately 14.66%. That is the new return on equity for the company. This new return on equity implies that the value of the stock price at Ragan company will get lower because of the lower growth rate of the industry. So that is my result and my analysis for the stock evaluation at Ragan Engines. I hope that my result and my analysis is useful for your consideration, and thank you very much for your listening.